Hello and Aloha Pa, the Baha'i greeting to all the people of the planet. Today is 10th of December, time is 11 o'clock. In this series I have just a few more videos to discuss. I've been asked a few questions. One of them I think is appropriate to answer in this time. That will include the matter of mass teaching in the Baha'i Faith. A lot of people, they ask me that, okay, great, all these talks and all this ideology, how are we going to establish this? Well, of course, we know the mechanism that is in the Baha'i Faith is to teach. And we have this word written many places in the faith of God called mass teaching. Many people, they think that, okay, we're just going to wait for them and then people, they're just coming in themselves. It's not like that at all. So, what are we going to do? The first thing, before we start mass teaching, we have to understand we cannot have an ideology or a concept of an ideology, a wrong concept, imperfect concept about the faith of God. We can have some kind of a philosophy, ideology, in this case a Baha'i faith, that with many loose ends, with many unanswered questions. If we have this kind of things in our back of our head, which is right now universally among all the Baha'is in the world that I've spoken to, they don't know where the women stands in the Baha'i faith. They say that you're hypocrites. You say man and women are equal, there are hands of the Qazas that are women, there are letters of the living that are women. We know all of that. But when it comes to the practical matter that we people have to deal with it, there's only 9 men in the universal laws of justice that we women have to vote for those men, and they only can be inspired or excluded. This is not a simple issue. It will grow bigger and bigger. So if you teach a Baha'i faith that is imperfect, it has loose end, unanswered question, the question that, the answers that you find for yourself about this issue is not going to convince the rest of the world. So as a result, if we teach something like this, as it stands right now, if you want to kill it, you have to just distribute it all over the world. Because as soon as the populations are 18 and 20 in a city as Shoghi effendi designed, it will be fine. But if there's 1 million Baha'is in a city, there will be many, many divisions over these subjects. Okay? I have on the second videos brought those questions, to the opposers, or those who are opposing me, and they're thinking I have a wrong brand of the Baha'i faith, not a full picture. They have to answer those questions. It is becoming very unstable society if there are loose ends, if there are unanswered questions in a philosophy. People will not put up with it, not today, especially in North America. So the first thing we have to do, Shoghi effendi, by the way, says that any concept, any ideology less than what has been revealed by the founders of the faith, if you teach something like that, he says, you might barely get to the lesser piece. You'll never establish it as a worldwide, ideology all around the world. And those people in Haifa, they know this very well. They're just too conservative. So, what you have to do is, there are many of you I know potential already right now. I've heard of you. But just in about 50, 60 of you to call me. I will set up a meeting. We're not going to separate ourselves from the faith of God or say that we don't accept a national or local or universal laws of justice. No. The faith of God consists of these local assemblies and national assemblies and universal laws of justice. Just there are wrong people in this machinery of God. We have to kick them out. And we have to do it through the Baha'i Faith, through the system. We can't just simply start backbiting the members of this assembly or that assembly or the universal laws of justice or this or that. After all, they're the reflections of who we are. Majority of us are, if we put it together, it will become this local and national and universal that a lot of people are unhappy about it. It's because it's in us. We do not have enough informations. So we're just simply electing, people that we're not listening to this Shoghi effendi. Says they have to be healthy, they have to be faithful, they have to be active. By that he means definitely involved in teaching. So I'm translating what he says. If the people are not involved in teaching and they did not bring people into Baha'i Faith, do not choose them as delegates. Use the delegates that they have been involved in teaching. They brought people into faith. Those people have understood and realized the pleasure of teaching. Those kind of people, they know it is hard to get a person into Baha'i Faith. They don't they respect people, those kind of people. They know how. So if those kind of people, they become delegates, naturally there will be a different members for the national spiritual assemblies in US and Canada, everywhere. They in return will, elect different members for universal laws of justice. Then the problem is resolved. However, it's the machinery of God is off the rail, is off track. I have come here, this is my job, I'm the envoy of God, Baha'u'llah, to put this machinery on its place. And so far it's been going good. It has been promised that this covenant will not be broken simply because I am here and others will be here. We will take care of the issue. But at the end of the day, this is the product. You're the customer. If you don't do anything about it, nothing will happen. Again, we have that another saying of Abdul Baha saying, if the Baha'is, they do not unite wholeheartedly, this faith, just like the other faith of God, will be disintegrated. There will remain nothing from it except the name in the libraries of the world. That's what he says. So number one, then, we want a strong ideology. This issue of the guardianships and the membership of the women in the universal laws of guardianship has to be resolved, number one. Believe me, if you come around, as I tell you, you should, call and we will sit down and talk. I know the mechanism that we will take over is very simple. There is a coup d'etat in the system of Baha'u'llah, that if the system doesn't work, how you could inject it to works. It's possible. Because those members of the National Assembly and the locals or the Universal Laws of Justice, they are not bad people. Let's face it. They just have different concept in teaching the faith of God. They're seriously stubborn. They've come from the system of the bureaucracy of the churches in, North America, and they have a lot of clashes of characters with them, especially Persians residing in Israel, Haifa. They're about the most dogmatic wall, if you want to know. But again, I'm not going to put blame on them because they are the product of our own voting. You see, that's it. Guilty as charged. We cannot blame them in how they're doing things. Let's get back to the topic. First, when that is solved, the system of the mass teaching is not simply to take the Baha'u'llah's book and the writings directly to the people and you're hoping that the entire people in the society will accept it. It's not going to happen. This has to be translated, transformed, rewritten, restructured in a simple book, maybe 30 pages. Okay? That is what these videos are all about. Something that people understand, because majority of the Canadians are Baha'is relative to the rest of the world. I say so. But if you want to make these people attracted to the Baha'i faith, you have to modify the faith of God for this time. Okay? This is strictly what Shoghi Effendi says in the dispensation, World Order of Baha'u'llah, the Baha'i dispensation. He says the success of this institution is to understand the need of the time and coordinate the work of people. So somebody was asking me that, I have a drinking habit. Can I be a Baha'i? I said, of course. Other person I remember, he said that I'm a gay. Can I be a Baha'i? I said, sure. Others, they told me that, who are you to let these people to become Baha'i? I said, who am I not to let them to become Baha'i? A man can drink and still is a Baha'i. There's a fine on him, sure. Even gay. So, Baha'u'llah says jealousy, cruelty, hypocrisy. Those are the bad ones. With those, you'll never come to the kingdom of God. If the guy takes some beers, let him take it. He told me, so what happens? You're modifying your religion? I said, no. Under no conditions, I will teach people that drinking alcohol or any rule of the law of Baha'u'llah can be broken. But I am not the priest or admonisher to tell them what to do. But I'll make them aware of it. They should know drinking is wrong, but they can't help it at the moment. So, Baha'u'llah is the physicians. Who is coming to the physicians? Sick people. That's what my answer to my brother was. Are you sick that you call yourself Baha'i? Precisely. I am. He said to me, what I am then? What am I? I said, you're dead. Because you do not need to go to a physician. You are dead. But I'm sick. I know he's physician. I go there. I had a lot of shortcoming in my life as a Baha'i. It's not good to confess the sins in front of people, but there is lots of it. Baha'u'llah knows I know it. But that didn't stop me from enjoying Baha'u'llah's presence and Baha'i Faith. In the course of time, I understood in my battle with Baha'u'llah that every time he's correct. But I'm not going to take this opportunity away from my son or my friends. If he thinks that he can do something, then go ahead, do it. And then you'll find out for yourself. But sure, we're all Baha'is. Anybody who wants to join Baha'i Faith is a Baha'i. However, a book had to be written, a very simple book. Okay? For example, when you're saying, in this book, by the way, you can't hide anything. Write down all the laws, all of it. All of it. The synopsis in the Kitab Aqdas, things that has to be done, prohibitions, orders, everything. But don't be a priest. Don't be an admonisher, because that's also forbidden to people. How far have they understood it or how far they're going to go into it? Those are not really our business. But we could ask them that, okay, do you like to teach when you become a Baha'i? As soon as he says yes and he wants to get involved in teaching, as he starts to teach and join the faith of God, he'll get clarified about everything. He'll get cleaned up. Baha'u'llah will deal with him, you see. It's not our business. We just bring them to the physician. He wants to do whatever he wants to do with them. The book has to be simple. Don't hide anything. This is the idea of a lot of Persians when I was in Iran. That, oh, don't say everything to others, this, that. I said, well, one day they find out then. Then what? For example, Baha'u'llah says that if you belong to any organization, any system, any faith, any religion, but if you belong to Shiite, he says, just leave, he says. Get away from Shiite philosophy, he says. Because they're transgressors. They killed the promised one. So showing this to the Shiites in Iran would be really not good. Not so. We cannot say that. God has revealed it. I let them to know it if they ask me. What does Baha'u'llah think about Shiite philosophy and Shiism? Very, very bad. Bottom line. There has been this kind of a bureaucracy that they try to represent themselves as a wise man, what to do and what not to do, several times in the faith. I call them covenant brokers. Every time Baha'u'llah confronted them and told them not to do that. So, say everything in that book, main dates, main event, right from the Bab to the Shoghi effendi, the World Order of Baha'u'llah, Universal Laws of Justice, and then the Universal Laws of Guardianship, the laws, the philosophy, in a very simple way. Did not use this hard English vocabulary. There is, I am told, 700,000 words in English books. Please choose the simplest possible word. Do not copy Shoghi Effendi's writing. He is not written for a country or a city. He is written for the entire world for 1,000 years. So that is then how you would write if you want to be writing for 1,000 years or more, actually, in the dispensation of the Baha'i Faith. We're talking today, in our time. We have to write simple ways. I'd seen a message of the peace was translated into Persian a long time ago. A fellow was complaining to me that how difficult this message of universal laws of justice is. I didn't know what to tell him. I kept quiet, but I remember another person told him that you're right. Why don't you write universal laws of justice to simplify the matters? Simple English. Okay? This addressing, the elites, it's out. Grassroots people who are nobodies. They are the ones who have to make these revolutions. Okay? So we established that we need a strong ideology. We need a simple book to explain everything. This book naturally has to be accepted by the National Assembly, by the Universal Laws of Justice. It has to be a simple ideology that it's just, the book that brings everything in there. People have no time to read, especially nowadays. So, as I said, all the people would not be interested in the Baha'i Faith as it is written and revealed. You have to reconstruct it. Because most people are practical. They say, listen, we have mortgage, we have house, we have problem with our children, we have problem with our wives, problem with our government, problem with the economy, problem with the stress. Those are the things that has to be dealt with. So what you have to do, you have to say, okay, this is the world order of Baha'u'llah, but there's such a thing called Baha'i government. This is what I have given in my videos, 20 videos, I think, about Baha'i Faith in Canada. I've studied myself in 20 years Canada, and I thought in my own mind what can be done. Same way in whichever country you are, you have to see where the country is, study it, and establish an ideology which is not politics, which is not environmentalism, it's different. It's about a future of the country and a picture that you're drawing that as a Baha'i government you want to turn Canada, Australia, England, France, Germany, any country into that things, and there is a way to get to that. You see, then people can come in. So you need a book to accompany these writings that we have. Of course, people should be exposed to all the writings, there's no doubt. But the book has to be there, one single book. Okay, that answers all these questions in a very simple way. From God to prophethood, life after death, come right down to all items in a simple way. From the simple ideas, you have to take the people interested into the faith, all right? I was reading, Abdul Baha was saying that in several top places, it's called volume number 7 of the Persian writing of Abdul Baha. He says, writing books and media between you and those who are your teaching is useless, he says. He says, when Islam was taught in the beginning, for 300 years, people did not have a copy of Quran. He says it was one-to-one talk. Do not create a media between you and people. I am right now because I'm speaking to the entire world, okay? But actually, when you're talking to your neighbors and this and that, you have to use yourself as a media to speak, all right? So, this direct contact is the things. Excuse me. And we've heard, there's a couple of things I have to clarify, that in some place Abdul Baha says in the US, oh, those who can talk, they're good speaker. They can argue well. They're the one we have to get them and teach them. Okay? And that's very important. Shoghi effendi also says Baha'is are two kinds. They're followers and they're teachers. So you see, we have to create teachers. I know that in Iran there was a colonel of the army, I think, who was right now in Canada, a very respected individual, Dr. Qadimi is called. He had some kind of a sophisticated way branded by his own ways of doing it, which is allowed, I think. He was raising a lot of teachers in Iran, and they all became great pioneers all around the world. Okay, but his method was a little bit harsh, according to some of the students. So that kind of a system has to be there. Simply, we have to make salesmen. Okay, not to pay them. If you pay them, this is it. Faith is gone. We are turning to some kind of a politics, a social reform. No. You have to be able to make them interested in you. You see, when a big member of Universal Laws of Justice goes talks to people, nobody listens. Imagine he comes and sits down right there in downtown. These beggars. Talk to them. He gets them and he creates teachers. Okay? One of the hands of the cause of God. God, I can't remember his name. He was a Canadian, I think. He's this big insurance salesman. I heard he went to South Africa right in a bar. He took Olinga, hands of the cause, was drunk, just dragged him right out. And he turned him around. So you have many examples like that, both in the West and in the East. Teaching the faith of God is a tasty matter. It is so tasty, so delicious, that one will simply give totally his life for it. This is why it has been alluded as a wine of certitude. You see in the book, it is truly an addictive issue. I nearly lost my life, my family, several times over it. It's huge. It is a different type of pleasure. It's not like eating. It's not like sex. It's not like I am the president of the country. It's different. You are hovering over the world while you're in your body. Every night you have a vision of Baha'u'llah and Abdul-Baha. You will leave this world while you're in it. So you reach to such a certainty about the next life, next step of existence. Nothing can prevent you, especially if you get in teaching more and more and more. Look at Martha Ruth. And then there are many other examples. I've told you how to start to teach anyways before, but we need to create those teachers. And this has to be a constant matter. As we teach them, then it's practical. I actually go with my students, knock the door, which is not very great, but there are many, many different places in the city that one can sit down and start a conversation. I rented a little table in the mall, put the Baha'i books there. People come and ask questions, I answered. Before you know, there were 9 people signed, and there we all have an assembly. And then they want to bring their friends, because they see they're getting appreciated. Such has to be the case. I wish, this Universal Laws of Justice come to its senses before anything left from my life, that I can initiate it and start this out before I die. So I prepared myself that I'm just about to give up and leave to the other planet. So I decided to go and change my body. Maybe I can live a little bit longer and to do what I have to do. So there's another misunderstanding that many of the Baha'is unfortunately have right now. The elites, I call them. There are several places that Abdul-Baha says, oh, if a king or a huge man, big important, like a king comes into the faith, then that will have a serious effect. I have to unfortunately interpret this because of what other things he has said and what transpired later on. So there are people that they think they should go get that big, actors or actresses, I don't know, Bill Gates and this kind of a thing to create a big, huge, movement. This is totally not going to work. Example, Lady Blomfield in England was saying to Abdul Baha, listen, says Master, I have a close connection to royal, family. Let me take you to the kings or whatever. Abdul Baha says, no, don't worry about it. It's not going to work. Even if it was working at one time because there were so great famous people and it turned into Baha'i Faith, yeah, sure. Today the politicians, the kings, people hate them. Yeah, if you can get Nelson Mandela to come into the faith, talk to him, might have an effect. But even that is totally absurd. What are you trying to do? You're trying to create a huge man, I don't know, Bill Gates, Nelson Mandela, and hundreds of them that you know in the world. They call themselves Baha'i, and then people come in. Do you think those people are Baha'i? No, they're attracted in the wrong way. That doesn't make you a Baha'i. The first sign of being a Baha'i, truly, if you're asking me, is not that you follow all the commandments and rules of God. No. To reach to that perfection, no. Just one single item that makes you Baha'i to me. Put you right on the top. That you like to teach the faith of God. There's an urge in you to talk to others about it. You are a Baha'i. I sign for you. If not, you're contemplating on it. You're not there yet. So, we could start this many ways. But direct contact. Too much television ads and this and that's not going to work. It actually works. If 20 people, 20 different cities, right in southern Ontario, right in a little mall, 3-4 of them get together. In the mall, in the places, little shops, they just have this Baha'i Information Center with the books. That particular book, I call it the book, has to be free of charge. Before you know, I get a lot of people coming in. But when they're coming in and they show interest, you have to immediately get on that and work on that. Get the second stage, send these interested people at the end of the day in a firesides. There they turn into Baha'i. But it's the beginning. Nothing is got conceived. They will have to bring their friends to talk to them. And we have to have the place and system to let them coming in. Appreciate them. Oh, then they like it. So who are the candidates? Youth. Because they're not attachment to money, to life, the way others do. People on welfare. Because they're on welfare. They're very much the candidate. People in dropping centers. Those who have been rejected by this society. They are the one you have to work on. Not these people, these big people that are all working 24 hours a day and inside the system, absorbed by system. They're not good. They're good for the different level, but at the beginning, those are the ones. Whoever has been rejected by the system, God is after those people. So then this idea of having a big guys to turn into Baha'i Faith and make the others to come to Baha'i Faith is totally wrong, okay? This is not what Abdul Baha meant. It was at that time, a different time. He was spreading the faith, just bring the name, just like the golden, shrine of the Shoghi effendi wants to invite people to see what's in there. Because faith is at that level. But if you want to start to teach, no. Never mind medias. You yourself go and talk to people. Use the media to contact the guy. When he stops for the book, never mind the book. You have to talk. You see, then the team starts and begins. And before you know, the population from 5 becomes 50. Once it's 50, nobody can stop it. It turns into hundreds and 500 in no time. Then it's 5,000. Then the mayor of the city will come to talk to you. Then politicians are interested. Then this goes in 5, 6 cities at the same time. Then the media beg you to come and talk. You see? Don't buy the media. Media has to buy you. If you're not doing that, you're not doing the right way. So, it all starts actually in one city, in my opinion. And then it spreads. Me, myself, if they tell me that what to do right now, why am I not doing, by the way, is because I don't have you to come back me up, to pry the machinery of the faith of God, that's universal laws of justice, to be with us. Without it, it's not going to work. Then I would have started in Saskatchewan, in the center of Canada. There's a lot of native people and white people, they don't get along there. Well, we're Baha'is. We have the remedy. We're going to go there. We're going to fix it. We're going to make it to work. I've done that before. Yeah, it's completely possible. And then it will spread itself before you know. The formation of the sun in the spaces like that, trillions of years one virtual particle waits to meet another virtual particle to create a real particle. Then attracts another particle and then become whatever, hydrogen atoms. From plasma they turn into an atom. This hydrogen atom, how long it takes to attract the second one, third one, and the fourth one. And then once it starts, then it just keeps coming. So many of those gases and whatnot in the space, they get attracted to the center. Then boom, big bang, a new sun forms. The final processes goes very fast. Initially it's hard. Baha'u'llah is the sun, as centered right there. My students, if they're coming to learn from me, I tell them the condition of your being a teacher certified is not in my hand, it's in the hand of Baha'u'llah. You have to meet him. It sounds like science fiction, isn't it? No. My students will meet Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah talks to them. We sit down and have a coffee. Then they're changed. You try to stop them then. You can't, because they met the world, the Lord, you see. So what do? As I think is gone, the number of population becomes bigger and bigger. So, because we are teaching the Baha'i Faith alongside of the Baha'i government, the picture that I've drawn in these writings, and my next speeches, I'm going to give you the element of a national constitutions in a Baha'i government. You know, I'm going to be reading those points in my next speech. Those things has to be taught. But make sure it's not politics. It's just what Baha'is, they're having a picture of a country in the future. It's all in writing. Now at this point, because we're doing this, we'll have two types of registrations. After all, Shoghi effendi says Baha'is are teachers and their followers. He says, I wish all the followers, they turn into teachers. People are becoming Baha'i, but they can't teach. They're busy, their family, life, and this and that, okay? But there are others that they can teach. Who's eligible to be a teacher? Guess what? The guy on welfare. The guy who has no job. The guy who's been rejected by society. Another ulinga. Down in the bar. Those are the ones. Nobody else can come. Those who rejected by this system, that means they were good enough, that system, they were not a part of the system. We're all in the system, so we're all taking the poison from the system. We could just wish that it would change and we become something, but we have no power. We stay as the followers. But these guys that I know, nobodies, they're the one. they teach the faith, no problem. You can turn it into social programs. If I have 500-600 people coming out there into the faith and they're jobless, I immediately create jobs. I create few salesmen to go sell jobs. And these guys are going to do it. Like what? Plowing the snow, cleaning the gutter, cutting the grass, anything. I would get them employed. And the money that comes directly goes to them. There's no salesman involved that you get percentage or something. Just teach them how you can earn money. So, in this case, those who are not teaching, they're still a Baha'i, but those who are teaching that they are bringing everyday people into the fireside, they have a different cards. They are called certified teachers. Certified teacher is the man who wants to bring others into the Baha'i Faith. That's all. Knowledge is not required. Philosophy not required. Just that love and willingness of wanting to show the truth to somebody. That's all it's required. That's it. And of course, having time to do it. So, those are certified teachers. The member of the assemblies, committees, all administrations have to be chosen among those people. They're the one. The others, they can vote, but they can't get elected. Those who can get elected, they have to be certified teachers. Because we are in these junctions that the faith has to be taken its flight. Right now, it's a very disappointing time. Not for God, but for me, because 15 years past, I've spoken to all these Iranians. I thought they must be most familiar, because some of these evidences that I had to bring to them, unfortunately, was not even translated. So the Persian would have the first hand to see it. Well, about 30,000 people went onto the website for the first few years in 2002. But they backed down because National and Universal was not backing me up. And all of this is not to create right now in you the feeling that if this universal laws of justice or national is so hard, how are we going to go? Actually, today I'm alive still because of the universal laws of justice order. Or Baha'is, Iranian Baha'is, they would have killed me a long time ago. They would go and put a couple of kilos of cocaine behind my car and get me arrested. They have the power to kick me right out, deport me out of these countries immediately. And believe me, they are prejudiced enough to do it. Who is stopping them? Universal laws of justice. Tells them do not do anything an-Baha'i towards this Abbas Timuri. And the National Spiritual Assembly of Canada, I believe the same way. They may hate my guts, but still they do not go to the point of ordering my killings or anything like that. No, they won't. That is why I'm still alive, believe me. This will tell you that there is a chance, but you know, let's face it, Universal Laws of Justice sitting there, he says, okay, this Abbas is an interesting fellow. He said a lot of things, a lot of controversial things, controversial life. Basically, National of Canada, local assembly, all the Baha'is, they don't like him. Now we have to support him, say that, oh yeah, he's the elder of God. What's going to happen? And all the Canadian Baha'is, they tell us goodbye. So it is up to Abbas to establish himself, who he is. Once he did it, once he started to teach, once he brought people to accept him, give them the right ideology, we will consider it. But at the moment we're elected by the people, and we see that if we take on Abbas' side, all the Baha'is will go away. And they do not see this to be a wise things to do. I'm not going to dispute right now what they're doing, but I am sure there were a lot of other things, other ways to do on its very beginning. But one thing led to another, one thing led to another. Because in my vision, I had a dream that King of Iran, King Cyrus, which is called as a Messiah, recognized me, but he couldn't help me and tell to others who I am. And by now, I know that is universal laws of justice. So they know who I am. I bet you know. They know it. But as I said that, they do not want to interfere in a matter of guardianship. They think if I am the elder of God, I will have to do it on my own. And I will naturally, as a true Baha'i, will not deny them or say to Baha'is not to go to universal laws of justice or other, people that they call themselves Baha'is are right. It's very important, again, let me mention tonight, those who are against the universal laws of justice, you add them, there are not even 50 people. I'm telling you that right now. None of them is of sound mind anyways, put it this way. They like to show big pictures in the internet, la la la, but actually there's nothing behind it. I personally investigated and I know that. So, this is how the mass teaching has to start then. First of all, we need a good ideology, a strong first, actual, original ideology. That has to be written in a simple book of 50, 60 pages. Call it the book. By simple Baha'i book exhibitions on the mall and all these different places, you get people to come in. The next stage, you give them the address where to go to the firesides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 firesides in the city. As they go in, as they turn into, there are Baha'i teachers in there who are exciting people and getting the others to come in. And then they go bring other people. That's what I did in Thunder Bay. Before you know, the city will turn around. But ideology has to be right. Otherwise it will break in many, many pieces. You see? If you want to make an airplane out of paper, it could be this big. But if it's going to be a big airplane, go up, it breaks. Paper cannot do it. This is right now too feeble. It's a version of the Baha'i. It is an incomplete, it's an imperfect picture. The guardianship has to be a part of it. And it will not come unless you people get up and try to help the elder of Baha'u'llah. More can be done. This is an opportunity that you have, and I don't know what to tell you. I can't really advise you or admonish you to do the right things or the wrong thing. I'm just saying, if you're really bothered and concerned, especially you North Americans, which are designed by God, next in line, especially America, number one, Americans, Canadians, to get up and do something for the cause of God. Go read what I've said. It's very simple. Call me back. Once you know it is right and true, there can't be no point of doubts in it. Complete doubt is removed. 50 of you send a letter to Universal Laws of Justice. They'll meet with you. You can convince them, But you have to be able to convince them. But then you have to be convinced yourself. Okay, dokie. Time is 11:46, isn't it? I've spoken enough on the mass teaching. Oh, God. Next time I will talk to you about the constitution of the Baha'i government, the national constitution of the Baha'i government. The picture I've drawn. I'll tell you, and after that we're going to go to the universal government view talks I have there, and then essentially this series will be finished and done. May Baha'u'llah be with you.